Hello, everyone. I am John Monaghan, Director of Partnerships for All Aces Inc., and welcome to Intentionally Act Live. I have with me today Alan Evans, Vintage League music owner. He's the drummer and band member for Soul Live, and not only that, but he is also my brother-in-law. So welcome to the show today, Al.
Most importantly.
I know. I'm so happy that you're here. I wore my Soul Live sweatshirt.
Nice.
And just excited to have you with us here today. So welcome. What do you need people to know about you? I could talk all day, but I think what's the most important thing you want them to know? You have Iron Wax Studios, Vintage League Music, Soul Live. You've been in the music industry a long time.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, what else? I mean, I guess, man, you know me, man. Probably the thing I'm most proud of are my kids, man.
I know. Yeah.
And my wife, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's right.
That's the most important thing,
That's right. So for those of you watching, we are married to the Pinkham sisters, Kim and Trish. And so so my wife is Trish, Alan's wife is Kim, and they are a special pair, that's for sure. So we're lucky men.
Yeah, yes indeed.
So you grew up in Buffalo, New York.
I did.
At a time when if you saw all the bikes on someone's front lawn, you knew that's where everybody was. And if you needed to make a phone call, you had to go to a house because it was attached to the wall.
Yes, that's right. No way.
And your dad was pretty famous, I think, from what I understand, in the Buffalo area.
Yeah. I mean, he was. Yeah, I mean, it was really hard for us to go anywhere and not be recognized especially with him. And that the funny thing, when we were like younger, it didn't really. And that's just the way it was, you just go, hey Willie, hey Mr. Evans, and then but yeah, as we got older, you thought you're being slick out somewhere, and someone you never even knew, someone, you Willie Evans kids? You're like, oh damn, all right, let's go around the corner, So yeah, we couldn't really get into too much,
No.
Which is good,
Right. So he was a famous football player.
Well, yeah, that's what I learned later on. So that's part of it for sure. I mean, so growing up, my father, all I knew was that he was a gym teacher.
Mm-hmm.
That and then I remember when we were younger, we discovered like these films, like literally like films, and it's like, oh, and, I mean, we knew my dad played football for sure, but it was much later that we discovered like what the impact he had on his community and on people, so yeah, I mean, actually, I guess we definitely knew that he played football because he never allowed us to play football. That was the only sport that he wasn't going to let us play,
Yeah.
So, and that's the one regret that I have. I never asked him exactly why that was, because I had my suspicions. For a while, I was like, well, he didn't want us to get like hurt, which is, I mean, I guess back then, like everybody played. I mean, we played football like in the street, but like he never let us play like any kind of organized football, pee-wee, nothing,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, but it could have been, it might have been something like, well, he didn't want us to have to deal with the comparisons or, like having to live up to, I mean, because I think, and I could be wrong, but I think one of his like rushing records still stands at the University of Buffalo.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like, it still does. So it's like, maybe he like kept us away from that, and and I'm sure he didn't want to have to deal with it. And then on top of that, like like he so much going on in terms of work and this and that. Like, I'm sure the last thing he wanted to do was like go out, go to Pee Wee football with his sons on the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Right. Right. But I remember reading a story about his team was going to go. Was it the Gator Bowl, the Orange Bowl, something like that?
The Tangerine Bowl.
Tangerine Bowl.
Tangerine Bowl. So that was what year was that? That was 58, right? 58. Okay. So yeah, so it was the first time they had like a winning record in 58, and they were invited down to their first bowl game down in Florida. So there were two African American players on that squad, my father being one of them. So I guess the deal was, I shouldn't say I guess, the deal was the bowl committee or whatever said, oh yeah, no, University of Buffalo, you guys can come down, but you can't bring, those guys. And my father was like the star running back. I mean, he's like it's football, so he was definitely one of the reasons for them being invited down there for their winning record. You know what I'm saying? So, so unbeknownst to him, the team had a meeting and they decided to just not go. They declined the offer. And my father actually found out about it. He was like walking, he left his house. He was going somewhere, maybe to school or whatever. And a neighbor of his says, hey, you're in the paper. You're on the front of the paper. And he's like, which wasn't, I guess, maybe it wasn't, I mean, he was written up a lot in the paper, football games and stuff like that, but it was different. Like his photo was like, it's him and Mike Wilson's photos he didn't know what was going on. And he found out just like everybody else did. The team had a meeting. They were like, no, we're not going down there as an entire team. We're not going at all, And so that was really cool. And the thing is, again, this is stuff that I learned later on in life. But I did know that, growing up, my father was really tight with his whole team. These guys were like straight up band of brothers. You know what I mean? Like they were real tight. They'd get together multiple times a year, and I mean, I think there's only maybe a couple of them left alive, but they still, whoever's around, they still get together, But I think it went to, it just goes to show, like, this is 58, man, like, and
right.
These were like, I mean, they could have easily just went down there and said, hey, man, we're good. We're gonna go get this, play this bowl, but. Yeah, it was. They were tight, man. They were a family, So
yeah, it's just a tremendous act of protest at a time when that wasn't happening as much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's the thing. So, like I said, so that happened in 58. This is, my father lived in literally an entire life before I was even born. You know what I mean? Yeah. He had been married before. Had a son, my older brother, Rod, Rod just turned 65. So literally he had a entire different life before us. And the thing is, like, with all that he dealt with, and again, this was brought up. Well, why this kind of made news is that literally 50 years later, after that, the University of Buffalo earned a chance to go to a bowl game, the first bowl game since then. So, people started digging, like, wow, this, and all this story came out, and it just kind of went. It was all over it was on ESPN and all this kind of stuff, but. The funny thing is like my father never talked about it. Like I really didn't know. I didn't know about it. And maybe I vaguely remember hearing bits and pieces of it, but I don't think so.
Mm.
So anyway, my point is that he that was like one part of his life that, I mean, that happened when, he was what? He was, again, it's 1958, a lot of he dealt with a lot of other crazy stuff, in terms of race relations and all this kind of stuff, but he didn't talk about it. And it's not like when we both know people who were in Vietnam or something like that, what I mean, where cats don't talk about that. Okay, I can dig, what I mean, like there's traumatic experience, things you go through. Not to say that this wasn't, but it was like one of those things that he didn't use it as a, I don't want to say an excuse for stuff, or what I mean, or just like he just kept stepping, man. You know what I mean? Like he just rolled through life, and it was always just he was a great role model for people,
Mm-hmm.
And that was the amazing thing, is like when he passed away, when we had the wake, man, I heard some of the craziest stories from people. I mean, this place was packed, like line outside of people, so I remember this one story. This dude rolled up on me. He's like, "Man, your father, he was my high school, coach and gym teacher, or whatever." And like I was getting he's talking about this dude was when he was in high school in the 70s in Buffalo, right? He's like, "Man, I was running around with gangs and blah blah blah, and something went down. My father, like, he tried to hit my father or something like that, and he started chasing this dude around and like kicked him off the team, all this kind of stuff. But anyway, this dude was like, later on, like this dude got himself together, right? And he said, your father would call me when this dude ended up going to college. And one day he just got to school, and someone said, "Hey, you got a phone call." And there was obviously, just back then in the dorms or whatever, there was just like one payphone at the end of the hall. He said, "Your father called me," and he would call me, like it was like every week on a Sunday, just to check in. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure I was cool. And I'm like, I didn't know who this dude was, never met him. And it was literally story after story after story, stuff like that. All these things that my father did for people. Now I had no clue, nothing, So again, all I'm saying is, like, he wasn't the type of person to like walk around like, oh, I do this for people, I do this for, what I mean? Like it was all low key, it was super personal, and that's just how it was a good example that he, for us, what I'm saying? It's like, man, you just do your thing, but be positive, be a positive role model in your community or whatever it is, but you don't have to talk about why you're doing it, what I'm saying, or
Right.
or make a big deal about why you're doing it,
And is he how you fell in love with music? As I recall, it is not. Did he used to stop you in the living room? You wanted to go get a snack, and he'd say, "You can't go until you tell me who this is."
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess he's definitely a reason why I love music so much. I mean, the thing is like music was such a big part of our family.
Mm.
Like a lot of people say, oh, like they can point to a moment in time where they decided to become a musician, or decide, like, that never happened for me. Literally never happened for me. Like it was just like from literally day one, music was just everywhere. Music was everything in our house. So, but yeah, that story though of, there was this in the house we grew up in, there was the living room where he had the stereo and all the records, and then on either side of it, there was kind of like we had to walk through to get to this other room where we had the television. So it's like, oh man, we want to go watch some cartoons. And it's like, all right, man, like, and you'd hear the music, and you have to really think hard. How badly do you want to watch these cartoons? Because you know you're going to get stopped in the middle. So my father, and I'm talking about we want to go watch like Spider-Man or whatever. We were like 4, 5, 6 years or whatever. And he was, hey, come over here. It's like, oh, damn, so Neil and I go sit down on the couch, because you knew you're going to be there for a while. Like, all right. And he'd say, we were listening to music. He'd say, who's playing piano? Like, who's playing saxophone on this tune? Who's and the cool thing, it was just a great lesson. And I've said this a lot, but there are many lessons in that. And I don't think that it was all intentional on his part. I think it was just something fun to do. But it was like, one, just in terms of just music knowledge or theory, whatever you want to call it, it was great ear training. We were able to start to pick out like, okay, that's Cannonball Adderley, or that's Bud Powell, or whatever. Like, of course we get a lot of things wrong because we didn't know, but it was a great way to learn people's their tone on their instrument, their phrasing, their rhythm, their how they delivered, and then also it taught us like how we started to. It wasn't just he'd point out, it wasn't about the individuals. Like, listen to the whole group, listen how they work together. So it was a great way of a great tool, a learning tool, and like how it's not about the individual, it's about the group playing together, working together to make the music. So that was a lot of fun. So honestly, after a while, like, we looked forward to it, but he would definitely he knew when to catch us, like when we were trying to go off and do something else, or like, come here, sit down for a little while.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So you also grew up in a biracial household, like at a time when that was not a common thing.
Nah, well, so again, something that I learned when I was older, that when my parents married and specifically moved into the neighborhood I grew up in North Buffalo, like, there was an article written about them in the paper. About this, like, isn't that crazy? like it's like, like this mixed race couple, whatever they called it back, I don't even know, but they wrote an article about them. It's just such a trip, to think about that. The thing is, like, again, going back to like now, both my parents, like, that never came up. Like, the funny thing is, it was years. It's not like they sat us down, like when your parents have the talk with you or whatever, like, these are birds and the bees, or it's like, I'm black, your mom's white. It's like, that never happened. Like, it was just like, that's mom, that's dad. I never knew it's just fun. Even to this day, I'm not colorblind. I can see shades of, but like, I just see people, man. It's like, it's honestly, it's kind of funny to me, man, like that we live in a world where, like, people, like, will not, it's 2021, man, and people will not hang out with you or try to do you harm, or do another person harm because of the color of their skin. It's just such a man. Like, I know things are like, like, I'm just not one of those people that, like, I kind of, like, I can understand why people get bent out of shape about stuff. Like, I've been the target of whatever. But man, when you really break it down, it's so ridiculous. It's almost, it's like a Chappelle show, like, episode, man. It's like, come on, man, really? It's 2021, people. Like,
right.
But anyway, my point is, man, like, I just didn't know the difference at all, and it wasn't until it was people on the outside of our family that made me realize, like, that I'm different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's just kind of a trip. So it was great to just have, like, and again, there were no Nothing in my family, my immediate family or the outside, maybe when I was younger, made me realize that, or made me feel like anything was wrong or different about us. You know what I mean? We were just a big, we had these big get-togethers. You know what I mean? And like, and both sides of the family were always hanging out. You know what I mean? There was music playing. Everyone was having a great time. You know, I was hanging out with my cousins. Cousins were white, cousins were black. We were all just hanging. It was all cool. You know what I mean? Like, and then again, going back to, you know, what I was exposed to as a kid. You know, man, you know, man, we watched a lot of PBS, man. You know what I mean? Like, I love PBS growing up, man. Like, and just like, and the music that we listened to, the music that I had my access to, you know, just because back then, you know, it was all vinyl records, you know, so I would just flip through records, and it was everything was there. We had everything from jazz to rock to funk to classical music to, and it didn't matter. It, you know, so when I was older, and when I'm going to school, and especially like when you know, you get your walk, when the first Walkmans come out, you know, like
The yellow one.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what you listening to, you know? Yeah. And man, I literally, that's how I grew up. So I could be listening to anything. So it's really interesting to, like, how some people would, like, you're listening, you know, like, you know, some of my black friends would be like, you're listening to the what? You know what I mean? Like, man, yo, Genesis is dope, man. Like, or whatever.
You know? Collins rock, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Dexy's Midnight Runners, come on.
Exactly. But then on the flip side, it would be like, you know, then I'm listening like to, you know, well, this was probably later, but, you know, I was just like NWA or Public Enemy, and then the other crew was like, yo, what's the hell? You know, are we losing him? Like, no, man. Yeah, I never, you know, just, oh, man.
So you got people coming in from all over the country and all over the world. Somebody just wrote Alan V. Stanton drum battle. Who says yes? I don't know who Stanton is, but
a friend of mine, man. Man, drum battle. I gotta see if I even can remember how to play drums, man. After all this, man. Oh yeah, there we go. Who says yes? Oh, okay, for a guy, I know who you are. I see you.
So, yeah, so you've been stuck back home. You usually travel all over the world or all over the country playing music, and so you've been put in lockdown for the last year. I mean, you've been making a lot of music. You've got studios. You record. You help other people record. So, and maybe some people don't know this. You're actually a little bit of a nerd like me, and that you dig like the science, not just the art, but like the science and tech behind it and stuff. Yeah.
Nah, man. You know, so at the beginning of all this, I didn't really think we were going to be life would turn out like quite like this, but I knew, I would have my suspicions that definitely things were going to be different and things were going to shut down for a while. But I remember saying at the beginning, Kim and I were walking one day, and I was like, yo, like, things were shutting down, and I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna look back at this time in my life and say, man, I wish I would have done more with this time. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't gonna sit around and like complain about, oh, I can't do this or this and that. To me, man, I was looking at it as straight up as an opportunity. You know, as crazy as that sounds, is all, you know, I don't want to, whatever. We don't need to get into. I'm always trying to look at on the positive side of things, man. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people like are going through it, have been going through it, but I just I try to look at everything as an opportunity. So yeah, so I've been busy, man. I just been so busy. It's crazy, you know. But again, I'm just not that kind of like. The thing is, I would, every once in a while I would see, and I kind of checked out of social media for a while for multiple reasons, but I remember seeing like people posting like photos or you know, things post like, oh man, like here's a photo of me playing some show or at a show or whatever from 2 years ago, or oh, look what I was doing last year, and like. And I'd speak to some people, and their tone was like, man, they were like depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like, people were depressed. I'm like, man, that's not me. You know what I mean? Like the way I've looked at this is like I may never play a show again.
Wow.
That's been my mentality. I may never play a show again. So, okay, with that said, so what are you going to do then?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so that's what I said, man. I've been, I just think being diversifying is really important, especially in what we do these days. I think what everybody does, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's like, long gone are the days of just depending on or relying on one form of income or one career or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just good to just be diverse in what you're doing. You know, so and I don't think it's all about money, but for me, it's just about I get to do something different every day. I like that. You know, I mean, it just keeps you. It keeps. I've had to learn some new skills over this year. You know, what I mean, like, and I love that. You know, what I mean, it's just like I never went to college, but I feel like a lot of times, you know, Kim's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'll be like reading something like, oh, I'm in school, I'm going to school, you know, because I'm just learning something, you know, like whether it's a graphic design or an audio or just business or whatever, you know, like, or just life, you know what I mean? Like, you know me, man, I listen to a lot of podcasts, man. I've been way into, you know, I've been getting way into the science, you know, science of the body and what you eat and all this kind of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying, man? You know the deal, man.
I do. I know you're a vegan. You've been vegan. I'm on again, off again vegan, which I'm not sure that makes me a vegan, but like a vegan light. And,
exactly.
and you've been doing some Wim Hof breathing, which I do, and everybody thinks I'm completely crazy for it. Apparently, Kim keeps complaining to Trish that you wanted to go jump into a cold stream with you sometime.
Ooh, man, I'm all, man. Yo, man, I don't even remember the last time I took a hot shower. Straight up, man. I'm all about it, man. Woo, it's just like feel invigorated, you know. So
yeah, good. Birkin was asking 100 club weights again, Alan. What? I mean, you put on the Brooklyn Bowl and Bowl Live like every summer.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about that?
I mean, man, like I said, man, I to be honest, I have not thought about playing a live show at all because I just can't allow myself to go down that. For me, it's like I can't make space right now for that in my mind because one, it's just not a reality yet. You know what I mean? So I mean, obviously, like, you know, Kim, you know, manages Soul Life, so she deals with that end of things. And of course, things come up in conversation every once in a while, but it's like, oh, we're going to try and schedule this show. Oh, well, you know, it's getting pushed out another 6 months or whatever. So I came to think, hey, if things, I'll be ready, you know, and that for me, it's like, that's the one thing I'm not worried about. Like, yeah, I really haven't played. My last time I played a show was in last February, but man, like, for me, I've taken breaks before actually from drums, from music for long periods of time, you know. The hardest thing is just the physical aspect of it. You know what I mean? It's like we were joking the other day. I said, man, I have all these calluses on my hands from lifting weights, but all my calluses from playing guitar or drums are gone. You know what I mean? Like, so it's going to be like, it's definitely going to hurt, man. You know what I mean? Like when I have to start playing again, you know, but of course, like if I know, like, okay, we have a show. I mean, for us, it's not like, oh, you have a show tomorrow because everything is open again. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that for us. You know, it's like, we'll know far enough in advance. So then I'll just say, okay, time for me to just get back and I'll just start playing and work my way up to it, you know? But like I said, man, I'm not thinking about it right now because we're still a ways away from that being a reality, you know, at least in my world, you know? So,
right. So we talked about growing up in Buffalo, New York, your mom and your dad,
Yeah.
your love of music,
Yeah.
your wife and kids are the best part of your life.
Yeah, man.
And for anybody who's just coming in, if you missed the beginning part, you can go to intentionallyact.com and you can watch this whole interview with me and Al. And if you are just coming in, Al is also my brother-in-law, but we wouldn't even add the in-law in there.
No, man, I hate that, dude. No. Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
So you were telling me, we're talking because we work for a racial equity firm, and we also focus a lot on resilience, and you've actually just been talking a lot about what a mindset is that helps you get through things and to things. And you were saying that your travel with music really opened your eyes toward a different way to experience people, understand people, deal with differences. Like, instead of this sort of black, white racial paradigm that the United States has, internationally, you got to, I don't know what the word is, but get bathed in different cultures and experience different things.
Well, so early on, I mean, having grown up in Buffalo, especially back in the, especially when I was playing music a lot, like in the 80s and whatever, like I played a lot of shows actually in Canada. We used to go to Canada all the time. It was like, man, you didn't need a passport or anything. You just like jump over. It was just like going to the next town. But I remember one time I was playing a show up in Canada, and I ended up at maybe at a party. It must have been a party after the show. And it was in Toronto, and I was kicking it with these cats and just talking about life or whatever. And they were like, man, said this one dude, this brother was like, I don't know. He's like, it's so crazy, like, how like it's just not like that here in Toronto, in Canada. Like, like now obviously like we all know that there's a lot of racial stuff that goes on all over, but it was so funny, man. Just jumping over the border to Toronto, it was like a completely different world. So I'm very lucky that I was able to do that at a very young age. Even before I was playing music up there, we just used to go to Toronto just to hang out. You know what I mean? Like, and it always felt like, it was not Buffalo. It was not the United States. As soon as you got over the border, you knew you were somewhere else. So that definitely like sparked a curiosity in me, like at a very young age, or the desire to travel. Like Buffalo is a great place to grow up, man, for sure. But anyone who lives there, it's still kind of crazy, man. Like Buffalo is a very segregated city. It's a cool spot. You meet a lot of cool people, but it's literally a segregated city. Like there's Main Street that divides the city. There's the east side of Buffalo, and then west side of there's the west side. There's North Buffalo, South Buffalo, east side, whatever. But Main Street divides the city. And I remember like growing up and I had like a girlfriend, this is when I was younger or whatever, and you call, at night after school and you say, hey, is so and so home? The parents are like, oh yeah, whatever, and you talk for a while. But then I remember one time I went over to this one girlfriend's house who lived in South Buffalo, which is if anyone, the only comparison I can make is to like how Southie used to be in Boston. You know what I mean? Like, it was like you don't want to get caught over there just like walking around, at night, whatever, just me, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's different now, I don't know. But anyway, so I went over to the house one time, and I had a friend who drove or whatever. So we go over and say, oh, and they answer the door and they're like, it's like, oh, it's Alan, you know what I mean? Like, no, man, I'll tell you this, man. The next day, the girlfriend was like, "Oh yeah, I can't see you anymore." You know what I mean? It's like, Yeah, dude. No, so it was stuff like that, man. Like, and the thing is, man, like again, man, you just like, you know, like growing up there wasn't like stuff like that went down there. You know what I mean? So whatever, man. That's the way it was, and so I just let it roll. But again, but the thing is, like, I was just curious at a very young age to see, what the world was like outside of Buffalo. And then
Mhm.
it just get when I moved to New York City, it's like, wow, this is great. This is, and then you start to see, oh wow, this it's great, but it's kind of the same, and then when I start touring a lot, especially like going down south, like I just seeing, you see a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of good and a lot of, oh yeah, this is what I heard. Like, okay, like this, that was confirmed for me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then it was really cool to travel outside of the country. Like, well, Canada, but then Europe, went to Africa, South America, all over, and you start to realize that. I don't want to say that we were. I mean, I'm very grateful to have been born here, to live here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's not the. Hmm. I, I mean, whatever, man. You're always gonna offend somebody, but man, it's like it's kind of like when I was in New York City. New York people in New York City think that, like, the whole universe revolves around New York City. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, and it's kind of the same thing about the United States. It's like the whole universe revolves around the United States. We're kind of always sold this thing about everyone wants to come to the United States to live, to get out of whatever situation. But there's a lot of people like, no, I'm good. I don't want to go live in the United States. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool over here. And like, so again, so it's just, it's great to go outside of, for me to have been able to travel and just see how people live elsewhere. You know what I mean? And like a lot of it, you realize how good you do have it here. You know what I'm saying? But then a lot of things you see, like, wow, we still got a long way to go. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's really important for people to travel to I mean, it's tough. I mean, it costs money to travel, you know what I mean? But it's so important to do that, like to work towards it at least. You know what I mean? To like, I remember like when I was living in New York City back in the day, and we play these shows out in Long Island, and I'd run into people who literally never left Long Island.
Wow.
Like, you could basically see Manhattan, and or you know what I'm saying, or like they haven't stepped foot in the Queens. You know what I mean, or what? It's just like, wow, man. And it's just, to me, it's I'm very grateful that I've been able to do that. You know what I mean? Because it just, you learn that, man, we're all there's a lot more to us that's similar than not really,
Yeah.
man. No, like, when you start looking at life, as just a human being, I mean, is you're a member of this community of Earth. You know what I mean? Like right now, it's like, man, like I said, a lot of things just make me laugh. You know what I mean? Like a lot of ridiculous stuff that people, the things that people think about other people, and how you want to place people in little boxes, and
Mhm.
it's just, to me, it's an inefficient use of energy. If I
Cool.
want to get into my nerdy, like, kind of, thing, but it really is, man. You know what I mean? Like, hate and
Yeah.
you're this color, so I'm. It's like, man, it's just an inefficient use of energy. It
Yeah.
really is, man.
Yeah. I can't remember the quote, if it's hate or anger, but they were like, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly,
Huh.
exactly.
Huh. All
But
right.
yeah, man, so there you go. That's
We have people telling you to go on tour. Bing Owens, go on tour, and then inefficient use of energy. That's right. It's what David Goggins said. He said anger is a short burn in fuel. It won't get you very far. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not a good motivator.
No. But oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask you. Soul Live, it's you, your brother Neil. You play music together, and then Eric Krasno, or Kraz as you call him.
That's right. Yeah.
Are you in touch during this pandemic time? I mean,
yeah. So Kraz is out. He lives out in LA, he moved out there. I guess a couple years ago now. So that's been kind of crazy. Like he was out there dealing with the pandemic and like fires and all this kind of crazy stuff.
Right.
But he's cool though. So Kraz is a new father, so which is pretty wild. So he's doing great. And I talked to Neil, so man, everyone's good. Everyone's, dealing, getting through it, yeah.
We got Matt is asking, not to change the subject, but are you guys planning on repressing the Soul Live self-titled live album on vinyl?
Well, Matt, what I can't really say right now, but maybe you might know a little more on Monday. I'll just I don't know.
All right.
Maybe Sunday, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. I don't know.
I think that's called a teaser.
Yeah. Always got little surprises up our sleeve,
All right.
We're not leaving you hanging. That's all I'm gonna say.
When is Alan going to produce the debut album for Alicia? All right.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
So we get Matt says, hell yeah, thanks, dude. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, all right, Matt.
So, all right. And then Joseph is writing in, been around the world a few times, saw Soul Live twice in my hometown, Farmingdale, Long Island. Jersey Shore, saw you at Brooklyn Bowl. Yeah. Congrats to Kratz and the new baby.
Yes.
All right. And then a question is, ever think of working with Mimi Castillo in the Tower of Power? I don't know who that is. I'm not hooked into the music industry. But I did buy a banjo, as I told you.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Good.
I don't really no, I guess I could just say honestly no. Not that like no, like, oh hell no, I'm not gonna work, but I just don't I let things come to me,
There you go.
I don't know. So
I hear you.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool, man.
I mean, Tower Power is if we're speaking the same Tower Power.
I like the way it sounds. I just don't know what it is.
It's a great band from the 70s. They're still a band, but they have their drummer David Garibaldi is like a legend. The dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a real cool dude too, man. But not. I mean, they're fine. I mean, they're good.
I'm always amazed. Like, I'll be like, "Hey, Al, check this song out," and of course, you know them all. And you're not only do you know the song, but you're like, "And I played with that guy here or there." It turns out you're like friends or whatever. You hung out after a show, or you opened for them, or they opened for you. I just got such a kick out of that.
I mean, I always tell people, man, it's a numbers game. If you just stick around long enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you hang out at the party long enough, someone will just like, someone will dance with you. You know what I mean? That's
You heard it. You heard it here, folks.
You know, so I don't know, man.
Words to live by.
Yeah, yeah, you know.
All right. How was the experience of touring with Carl in the Tiny Universe?
So that was a lot of fun. So Carl, that's one of my closest friends, man. That dude that's my boy. And the whole band. So the one thing I'll say about that band is when I was out with them. So Carl asked me. So I was a kind of like in one of the original. So before Soul Live, I was playing with Carl and his band in the kind of original incarnation of the Tiny Universe, and then I realized I wasn't a side man. That was like my first side man gig ever, and I was like, oh man, I'm out. So then I started Soul Live, Neon, Kraz, and whatever. So then a long time after, so Carl plays with the Rolling Stones, and so soon after, So soon after he got the Stones gig, he hit me up. He's like, "Yeah, man, like, I'm trying to tighten up my band, because and so I'd love for you to play." I was like, "All right, cool. I'll do it for like a few weeks or months or whatever." It ended up being like a couple of years. So I was going back and forth between Soul Live and Carl and the studios. It got crazy, but what I will say is I love hanging out with that entire band because you will never ever smile more or laugh more with any other group of people. I mean, like the entire man, we dealt with the craziest travel stuff or like just classic, like rockumentary type stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but man, the entire the thing it's Carl. Carl is has such a positive attitude, positive energy. You know what I mean? Like no matter what happens, it's like he always like has a smile on his face, and it's infectious. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, great time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then it says in Kravitz and Winwood with smiles.
Oh yeah. So Carl. So Carl. Yeah, Carl played with Lenny Kravitz. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but Carl is a member of Sexual Chocolate, which is from Coming to America, the band, Eddie Murphy singing. Singing the Whitney Houston tune. So anyway.
I thought I heard the expression on a Spike Lee film or something like that, but
yeah, could have been, yeah, but yeah. So Carl's a part of that band, and Carl actually is in the brand new Coming to America 2.
Oh yeah, shameless plug for your buddy.
All I'm saying, don't ask me about that movie. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Carl's in it though. I'm gonna talk to Carl about that.
All right. So you play was your first band Moon Boot Lover?
No. There was a few bands before that, but that was like the first. Yeah, I mean, I guess that was like the first real serious band. You know what I mean? Like that's like when I was in high school when that band started. Yeah, there was a sophomore or something like that. But that was like the first band where like, I would leave school early, like on a Friday, and we would like drive across the state to play like a, fraternity party, like in wherever, and then I'd make my way back mostly on time, but, yeah, that was like the band and then I left Buffalo with that band, moved to New York City. So that was the band that really got it started for me, in terms of where I've ended up now. So yeah.
Is that the band you were in when you met Kim?
Yes. Yeah. She didn't want to have anything to do with me. That's what she says. Come on, man. She I knew what was up.
That's how I was with Trish.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, man. They try to play like they didn't want, they want to hang out with us or whatever. But come on, man. No, I'm a lucky dude, but
Too.
yeah, yeah.
Too. So people are asking, can Soul Live please cover Kofefe? Kofefe or something like that. I don't know. I can't read it. And then,
yeah.
is there a Soul Live? Chance Soul Live will publish. Is it either lead sheets or lead sheets on
lead sheets
or sheets of music? Yeah, you can tell how much I know about your industry, Al.
Well, no, man. Well, we don't know how to read or write music, so we'll have to get someone to do it for us. Yeah, yeah. We'll try. We'll hire someone to do that for us.
So what are you doing? Like, what you're gonna, as the world opens back up?
That's a good question, man. That's a really good question. So I'll tell you this, man. The one thing that I really dug about this time, this pandemic or whatever, is I've used it as a chance to look at what I really. We've all had to strip away all these extraneous things that we like. Oh, you go out to dinner all the time, or you go out to the bar all the time, all this stuff that we just can't do. All of a sudden, it's just you and your house. You know what I mean? You're cooking food and like, all right, and you don't need to buy like, man, like I just bought like some new pants. You know what I mean? Like just because I just need, because I just kind of I needed some, but normally it's like, well, why do you need to buy clothes right now? Like you're not going anywhere. You're not, you know what I'm saying? It's like so my point is I've been able to then look out at my career or whatever you want to call it. And like now I'm thinking about, well, what do I really want to do? Because for this entire time I haven't done anything. I mean, I've been busy, but it's just allows me to it's a great time to just, what do you want to bring back into your life? You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you go on like a diet or whatever kind of crazy diet, or you're looking for excuse me, like a allergy. You know what I'm saying? And you just strip all this stuff away, and then you slowly introduce things back into your body or whatever. I'm looking at the same. What am I going to slowly bring back into my life, or what things was I doing that I just don't need? I'm not missing that, So it's going to be. All I can say is I'm not going to be doing the same stuff that I was doing before this. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So. Like I said, people will see me on stage, but yeah, I'm just looking at life a little bit differently now.
I go to bed early, so do you play matinees? That's what I.
Man, look, that's what I'm talking about, man. So that's the other thing that I'm not trying, man. I'm not trying to play we're starting at like 10 or 11 at night. I'm sorry, I'm just, that's just like. That's not. That's one thing that you probably won't be seeing.
Like, yeah.
If anybody out there is watching, like thinking, like, Soul Live's gonna be playing like some late night jazz fest show. No, it's not. I'm not down with it. I'm not down with it. I like to get to the gym in the morning. You know what I mean? Like I like to. No. I like my sleep, man. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
So, and the funny thing is, man, like, so this is, and whatever. I mean, you say, obviously, like, you change as you get older. Like, I'm coming up on, 47. I'll be 47 this month, right? The funny thing is, I remember when I was younger, like in Buffalo, or even after I left, and you're like the young, musician. You're just like staying up all night, you're partying, doing this, and then. But every town you go, I remember even in Buffalo, there were like the local musicians, you know what I mean? Like the cats who were just like, they didn't tour, they didn't do, or maybe they used to, and I'd look at them and I'm like, man, what a, you'd think all this crazy stuff like, oh man, what a waste, or man, look what I'm doing, like, and so now I'm realizing, like, now that I'm kind of there, like, they didn't care what I thought. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know what I'm saying? Like, young buck, I did all that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
and you'll realize someday. You know, I used to get that. People used to tell me like, "Oh, you'll see someday." Like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm doing this until now, man. Like, I don't care what people think. You know what I mean? Like, man, like there'd be like you always hear about these cats who like they used to tour the world and now they play at this like little like restaurant, bar, whatever, like, every Saturday night. And you're just like, what? Like, then you realize, like, I get it.
You're
I
that
get
guy.
it. You know what I mean? Like, and so the misconception is like, oh man, they're just old. You know what I mean? Like, they can't do it like that. Like they're just old. They can't do it like that. You say, no, man, they're just really smart. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They've been around the block, man. And it's just like, let the young kids, yeah, go ahead. You say whatever you want about me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I'm good, man. So like I said, my life is definitely changed. And the thing is, the funny thing is, John, right before this pandemic, I was talking to Kim about this. Like, man, one night I was at a club waiting to go on, you know what I'm saying? And I was sitting there backstage or whatever, and I was thinking to myself, wow, I was literally doing the same exact thing when I was like 14 or 15 years old. There was an opening band. I'm like waiting backstage to go on. I'm like, I've been doing this a long time. You know what I mean? And like whatever, and I told him like this, whatever cup I had to fill, you know what I mean? Like with experiences or whatever it was back then, you know what I mean? Like I filled it multiple times. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know, man. Like I still obviously I love music. I love playing music. You know what I mean? But I just don't have that thing anymore. You're not gonna see me out on the road like 250 nights a year kind of thing. Just not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
All right, we got a couple minutes left.
All right, couple minutes left.
Burning thing that you'd like people to know. Bit of advice.
You
just dropped a whole bunch, so
I don't know what I dropped something. I don't know. I mean, man, the thing that like resonates for me the most, or has been, is just I get, man, it's all the kind of the cliche things you hear, you know what I mean? But it's like, man, just be true to yourself. Listen to the voice inside of your, and voice inside, whatever it is, man. Like that's so important to me, man. Like I'm like, again, like you're a younger musician or whatever, you're trying to impress people. You're trying to like, you're do all this and that, you know what I mean? Like, man, I'm just trying to be myself. So when I was younger, a lot of people knows who grew up with me. You couldn't tell me anything about anybody other than Jimi Hendrix, right? That was my kind. I just wanted that was it. It's all I listened to and this and that. I was thinking the other day, man. Literally, I was like, man, I idolize this dude. He's a great musician or whatever, but dude died at 27. You know what I mean? Like, I'm coming up on 47. It's like that. Like, I'm so far beyond that. Like, all I'm saying is at this point, there's no 26-year-old out there that's really going to impress me that much that I'm going to want to be them, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just got to be myself. I've known that for a long time, but it's like, I think that's just like one of the most important things. That's something I live by, man. It's like, I just don't care what people think. You know what I mean? I do my thing, man. Like I'm confident in what I do, and that's it. And just, I mean, other than that, man, just be cool with to one another. It's really, we make things so difficult, man. Way more difficult than they need to be. So
yeah, we need to extend each other a lot more grace. So
yeah.
Al, it's 4:00. It's always so good to spend time with you, even virtually.
Yeah.
You hold a very special place in my life. You married Trish and I. You've been a good friend to me, and I am proud to call you my brother. So thank you, man. I love you.
Love you too, man.
Thanks for spending time with us today.
Yes, indeed. Anytime. Anytime.
All right.
All right, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
We're out.
We're out.